Hey, welcome back to Dukes on Twitch. Back with match 5, is it? I think it's 5. With Green-White Maverick against Necro Ooze, which is a very cool deck. This is kind of like a Necro Fit deck that plays a card called Necrotic Ooze, which as long as Necrotic Ooze is on the battlefield, it has all activated abilities of all creatures in all graveyards. Which is pretty sweet because I believe it's a win con with Triskelion, which when it enters the battlefield, you get 3 +1 counters, and you can remove a counter to deal 1 damage to anything. And then this Dreadnought, I believe, gives the Ooze the counters to actually remove. So it kind of goes infinite with dealing you 1 damage through counters, which is pretty sweet. Wild Mongrel's also interesting because you can discard the creatures that you want in the bin for Necrotic Ooze to get the effect of. So this is going to be a tough one. I do feel like Linvala in the board is really nice. And this is a pretty interesting hand. It doesn't have a lot of mana. So I think I am going to mulligan at least once because I don't want to rely on just the Dried Arbor. But it is pretty interesting. The Sylvan Library is what I'm really looking at here, and I think the library is good enough for this to be a keep. My opponent's also playing Veteran Explorer, so I do have the option to go get basics later on, which is kind of nice. Aven Mindsense is also a really good card against Veteran Explorer, because it means that your opponent only gets to search the top 4 cards of their library for the 2 basics, and you get to search your whole deck. One of the first cards, at least one of the first cards that I was aware of, where it was a one-sided effect, which these days you see a bit more of, which, yeah, is definitely interesting. Alright. So Source to Plowshares in this matchup is going to be key, and what I really want to try to find early on. Wasteland's actually really interesting. I'm just going to pass here and hold up Aven Mind Sensor. Interesting. Well... I'm just going to play Ranger and pass. Priority. They could fetch now, yeah, which is fair enough. Just double basic forest is interesting. So they run 4 forest, 4 swamp. It's actually a pretty nice card. So let's go to attacks first. 1, 2, 3, 4. I guess I have 5 mana, which is kind of nice. So I can either play a Knight here or hold up Aven Mind Sensor, and I kind of like the feeling of holding up Aven. So we're looking at Green Sun Zenith as well as a kind of hit off Aven Mind Sensor. And if my opponent has Pernicious Deed, which there are 3 in the board, that card's going to be pretty hard to beat, so I don't want to put too many of my creatures in play at sort of sorcery speed. Opponent also running 3 Hindered Turak, 3 Buried Alive, which is interesting. Buried Alive is a pretty cool card. Search your library for up to 3 creature cards and put them into the graveyard. There's the Swamp. This feels like Eternal Witness. That's gonna be fine. Yeah. Alright, so here we get to be a little bit tricky. Let's go and get Savannah. Float a white. Untap Dried Up or return the Savannah. Play Mind Sensor. Stoneforge is sweet. And Swords is pretty good as well, so I think I'm actually pretty keen to keep all of this. All of it is pretty interesting. We get to attack for 3 in the air at least. I also want to make sure that this Sylvan Library is kind of allowing me to gain value from being blown up by Pernicious Deed. Because if Deed trades for 3 of my creatures, or 3 of my permanents, but I get, say, 4 cards off the library, then I'm going to be up in that exchange overall. So I want to be a little bit aggressive with my library. I'm going to tap like this. If my opponent tries to play out a Pernicious Deed a little bit too early on, then I might be able to hit it with a Qasali Pride Mage, which is cool. There's Explorer, that's going to be fine. Tower's pretty interesting. So now we're going to get to sack, but we get to search in all of our library, and our opponent only gets to search in the top 4. So we'll see if they actually find any basics, because they've already got 3 on the board. They don't find any. Wow. I'm just going to go for Forest. I kind of want the green for Ooze, but that's interesting to say the least. Maybe I'll go for these 2. Even really powerful there. A little bit unfortunate for my opponent to not even find 1 basic, but I'll take it. The nice thing here as well is that we have a target for Wasteland, which is cool. Necrotic Ooze. Alright. Pretty happy just to Swords this Ooze here, just to get it off the table. Gaddock Teeg doesn't really do a whole lot in this matchup, so I'm going to put these 2 back and just play this land. We have 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 mana, which is pretty close to Scavenging Ooze. Pretty close to Stoneforge Jide Activate. I was going to go for Sword of Fire and Ice, but I don't think we have the mana to actually get there with it. Oh no, we do. Nice. And then I am still going to use the Wasteland here because I can find another one with Knight to take out the Phyrexian Tower. I'm going to put it on the Mind Sensor. And now we can attack for 5 at least. I'm going to take out the Witness just to get it off the field. Wasteland my opponent. The nice thing is now is that Stoneforge is a great card to lose here to something like Diabolic Edict. And I believe Deed here doesn't do it because we can Wasteland ourselves and draw a card to make this Knight really big. So So my opponent might need like Veteran Explorer and Pre-Innistrad Steed. It's probably also merit last turn to attack with the Dryad Arbor by untapping it with Scrib Ranger, because even if they block with the Witness, then at least I'm getting 2 damage into their face, so works out a little bit better. Buried Alive, okay. This isn't too bad because we have the Scavenging Ooze, but we'll see what they get. Genesis and Wild Mongrel, interesting. Gonna quickly look at our Green Sun's targets again. Scavenging Ooze, Kusai Pride Mage, Knight. So this turn we can swing for 1, 2, 4, so 6, 7, 8. Yeah, I think if we just swing with everything here, we're going to connect pretty well. I'm just going to play out. Play out Ooze first. Attack with everything. Yeah. Tough spot for my opponent, especially on the draw as well. So this is going to be an interesting one. I really like Linvala. I do like Path. I'm not too sure about the Surgicals, but I could see them coming in. Especially seeing this is a graveyard combo deck. I think if Surgical's going to come in against anything in pre-modern or pre-Innistrad, it's going to be this. Gaddock Teeg doesn't do a whole lot in this matchup. Thalia Pride Mage can probably come out. It does have the target of Top and Deed, which both are cards that my opponent can kind of play around Qasali with. If they play a Deed with open mana, it's a little bit of a meh to trade the Thalia Pride Mage with it. And Top, of course, is a pretty hard card to hit. So Disfigure is going to be great for my opponent. We'll see if they bring in Maelstrom Poles. Virtue's Ruin is also pretty good because it hits all the multicolored creatures like another Reliquary. And Spike Weaver is an interesting one. I think it's a case of this is a pretty, I feel, somewhat favored in this matchup. I do like the Batterskull still because with their Veteran Explorers, we're going to be ramping, which is pretty nice. There's some merit to taking out the Mums because a lot of their removal is either through Pre-Innistrad Steed or Verdict effects. So I could even see just like one Mum left in. The Disfigures are going to be a little bit rough, but we can't really play around them too much. The second Scrib Ranger is also something that I could see dropping, so maybe it's something like just keeping in 2 Mums as a just in case. I think this is fine. The library's interesting as well. I did like being aggressive there with Sylvan Library because they didn't have a really fast clock, and I'm not too scared of creatures with haste. A lot of the time they're going to be going off with their combo to win the game, so it doesn't really matter what life total on that. They kind of just have it. Maze of Ith is actually probably a card that I can take out here. Not really for this matchup. So it might even just be the second library. You know, if one gets taken out with a Pre-Innistrad Steed, I do want to have a second copy. This is a fine hand. It doesn't really have any interaction with my opponent other than maybe Jitte. But I think it's okay. My opponent is running 4 Bayous, 2 Phyrexian Towers. So the Wasteland is also online, hopefully. Really cool deck for my opponent. Cabal Therapy, okay. I'm going to say it's either Swords to Plowshares or Green Sun Zenith. I think those are 2 pretty good answers, especially for what I would keep with the hand. And yeah, they've gone with Green Suns, which is more than fair. Cabal Therapy, of course, really good with Veteran Explorer. Oh, they have it as well. I wonder what they take here. Probably the Stoneforge Mystic, because it can... Obviously, it's card advantage, which is nice. But Knight is pretty big as well. However, if they're going to be starting off with basics, I don't really see a need to take out the Knight, because its really only target is Phyrexian Tower, which can be rough, but here it's not too bad. I think it is just Stoneforge Mystic. Such a good combo of cards. They name Knight, okay. Interesting. Maybe they have a deed? Buried alive, okay. Opponent maybe even just looking to go off next turn by playing Necrotic, getting the Buried Alive online with these abilities. So I really need to draw into Graveyard Hate if this is the case. Yeah, there it is, Triskelion and Phyrexian Dreadnought. So I think here my only option is to draw a card and hope it skews. Another draw. Well, we can hope. I'm gonna go for Sword of Fire and Ice because at least it can just pretty much win the game out of nowhere, or at least give me a faster clock. But really nice turn from my opponent. I mean, turn 1 Cabal Therapy wasn't a hit, but now they have Genesis is interesting. Sally, okay. I don't mind Sword here. Sword makes this a 3-3 into a 4-4 with Noble. I could also draw a card. I feel like drawing a card is fine because just attacking with the Sword isn't going to be doing me too much if I am tapped out. So I think here we'll just draw a card first. Swords is a fantastic draw. And now I might just hold up Stoneforge Mystic and Swords to Plowshares. They're gonna get aggressive. Okay. Genesis is pretty solid as well because it means that my opponent can deed for 4 and still keep a creature around. Grave Titan. Yikes. It's gonna work. Have to get rid of that. Cradle's interesting. I should actually play the bird out here because it might mean next turn I can get in the air. I don't want to play the Kusali out yet though. Group like this that they can't attack with the zombie as well. My opponent has 2 cards in hand. Alright. Just gonna 6 here. I could not 6 to like act like I have something, but really need to find Skoos. Skoos is going to allow me to stabilize the board, maybe beat the Genesis by making it a 5-5, and then also turn off the graveyard as a resource for my opponent. They're gonna name Kusali here, which isn't too bad. Maelstrom Pulse on the sword, that's good. Alright. Down to 0 cards though, so at least we both have this. We'll see if my opponent pays for Genesis. It's 3 mana. Which means that if they draw Necrotic Ooze, they couldn't cast it. Ah, they get back. Interesting. So Genesis is actually if you do return target creature card from your graveyard. So they get back the Veteran Explorer as well, which is really nice. Alright. I'm going to sack a land here to get a Canopy to hopefully draw into something. Nice. Gonna Green Suns for Scavenging Ooze. And I'm just gonna eat some stuff now. I'm gonna eat the Genesis for sure. Attack in the air for 2. Grave Titan. Alright. Grave's gonna be pretty good. Let's eat a bunch of cards. I could save some for another Ooze, but I think here I'm happy just getting rid of it, because if something like a Deeg comes down, I'm going to lose all the creatures anyway, so then the other Ooze can just start eating those back up. I'm going to attack with both of these. I do have the option to wasteland myself to make the knight a an 8/8, which is cool. Which I probably should have done, but it's okay. I was thinking about keeping a creature back for the Grave Titan, but I think we're going to be okay. Just really have to fade Deed. That's the big card. And they're going to get in with everything, so for 12. And I don't think I block any of this. I could block maybe the 6/6 actually with, yeah, with Stoneforge. Stoneforge isn't really doing anything else here, so... My opponent has 1 card left. I'm gonna hold up. Ooh. Interesting. I guess for Green Suns, so let's go put on top. But if I pay for this, they kind of have to block both. I think I'm okay to pay for this here. Okay. Play knight. And then hold up Haven. Interesting, so they're going to attack. I will cast Avon here. There's also a line where Batterskull off the top is a win, because it makes the Avon a 6/6, and then the Exalted gets in there. Interesting. They also just gave me the option to Wasteland them to make the Knight a 7/7. My only thought is that I should Wasteland myself to play around Disfigure, saving the Grave Titan. Because if I hit the Bayou, the Knight becomes a 7/7, but Dismember makes it a 5. Disfigure makes it a 5/5. Triad Arbor. Alright. Eat Grave. Eat Knight. Eat Stoneforge. I believe that's it. And then we know about Linvala. Ooh, Script Range is pretty huge. Put on top. Put on top. Attack with these three. Do they attack with everything? They do. No? Just those three. Put in Scrib. Untap Knight, return Forest. Move to blocks. Block 1. Damage, I'll take 4, go to 4. Spike Weaver. Spike Weaver enters battlefield with 3 possible counters on it. You can remove a possible counter from Spike Weaver to put a possible counter on a target creature. So you can kind of move possible counters, okay? And then you can print all damage this turn. Rough. Okay. Oh, Linvala stops this. So that's actually fine. That's more than fine. I guess they can respond to Linvala with activating Spike Feeder to fog the turn. Put on top. Can I go to 1? That's the big question. I probably don't mind going to 1. No, just in case they drew onto like something that deals damage. Like I don't think they have another copy of Triskelion, but I'm just gonna go put on top. play Linvala. See if they do anything with Spike Weaver. Alright. Back we go. I think I'd rather hold up the Knight here and Wasteland and end step than Wasteland now, because they do have 9 mana. They can do anything they want, so I don't think there's a need for that. I do also have a Lethal in the air, because Linvala plus Exalted is thankfully 5 damage. Alright. I am just going to see if Linvala works. Nice. Very cool. So, unfortunately my opponent had a great start, but just then it just started hitting a few land drops, a few creatures that weren't relevant to the combo, and we got to pull it out, which is cool. A huge thank you to my opponent. If you like this content, definitely subscribe. I have a number of viewers that aren't subscribers, which takes a second. I hope you enjoy this content. I'll be back for Match 6 hopefully soon. Thanks.